He used to share everything online, every moment, every joy, every tear, until one day, when silence became his only friend, he realized the more people saw of his life, the less peace he had in his heart, and the more he exposed, the more fragile he became. But Islam taught him something the world had forgotten. That peace does not come from being seen. It comes from being known by the one who sees all. Because sometimes, the most beautiful parts of your life, the ones Allah loves most, are the ones that no one else ever knows about. There was once a young woman who loved to share her journey with the world. She spoke about her faith, her struggles, her growth, and people loved her for it. She would post about her morning Qur'an reflections, her du'as, her tears in sujood. Every like felt like approval. Every share felt like reward. But slowly, something changed. The peace that once lived in her heart began to fade. She started wondering, why do I no longer feel that same sweetness in my worship? Until one night, as she sat before Allah, she realized she had begun to trade the privacy of her relationship with Him for the public validation of people. It wasn't that sharing was wrong, but somewhere along the way, her intentions had become blurred between showing and seeking. And that night she whispered through her tears, "Why, Allah, I want to return to you unseen, unknown, unnoticed, except by you." That was the night she deleted her posts, not out of fear, not out of shame, but out of love. Because she finally understood that when something is sacred, you protect it, not display it. Privacy in Islam is not about isolation. It's about protection. Protection of your heart, your intention, your peace. The Prophet said, "Seek help in fulfilling your needs through secrecy, for every blessed deed is envied." The Sunan al-Kubra 1095, there is divine wisdom in keeping your blessings quiet. Because the moment they are displayed, they become vulnerable to the gaze of envy, the tongue of gossip, and the whisper of Shaitan, who loves to expose what was once pure. When you guard your private life, you guard your sincerity. When you keep your good deeds hidden, you build a secret bond with Allah, a love story that no one else can touch. And this is what the world doesn't understand. They tell you to share everything. Your happiness, your pain, your heart. But Islam teaches share with Allah first. Because not every emotion deserves an audience. Some emotions were meant to be prayers. Allah says in the Qur'an, He knows what is in the heavens and the earth. He knows what you conceal and what you reveal. And Allah knows best what is in the hearts. So Surah Taghabun 64:5-4. So why fear being unseen by people? When the one who made your heart already knows every whisper inside it. Staying private does not make you hidden. It makes you protected. It does not make you less. It makes you real. Because what is real does not need applause. It only needs Allah's acceptance. When you learn to live quietly, you start to notice how peaceful silence can be. When your intentions no longer depend on being seen, your soul finally breathes. There is something dangerous about being seen too much. Not because people are evil, but because hearts are fragile. When you let too many eyes into your life, you also let too many opinions shape your worth. You start living for reactions instead of reflections. You start asking, how do I look? Instead of, how am I with Allah? And slowly, without noticing, your peace begins to depend on other people's applause. Your self-worth starts rising and falling with numbers on a screen. Yet Islam came to free you from that prison, to remind you that your value was never found in visibility. It was written in your taqwa, your closeness to the divine. The Prophet A taught us to protect three treasures: our hearts, our intentions, and our private lives. He said, whoever believes in Allah and the last day should speak good or remain silent. So Bukhari 6475. There comes a moment in every believer's life when they realize that the loudness of the world was never meant to replace the stillness of the heart. When you finally stop explaining yourself to people and start speaking only to Allah, that is the moment your soul begins to heal. Being unknown in this world does not mean being insignificant. It means being protected. The Prophet I said, Allah loves the servant who is tak, God conscious, Gani zai content, and kaf, zay Muslim 2965 hidden. Not in the sense of disappearing, but hidden in sincerity. A person whose light shines not through display, but through truth. So how do we live this teaching? In a world that constantly pushes us to share, to show, to prove. First, protect your moments of worship. Let there be some prayers, some tears, some du'as that no one ever hears about except Allah. These become your treasures on the day of judgment. Your secret deeds that weigh heavy in your favor. Second, set boundaries with what you share. It's okay to express, to inspire, to connect. But remember that not every joy is meant for display. Keep your family matters, your plans, your pain, and your spiritual experiences guarded. Not everything sacred belongs to the crowd. Third, practice silence. Not the silence of distance, but the silence of wisdom. The kind that listens more than it speaks, that observes, reflects, and lets Allah handle what words cannot fix. The Prophet I said, whoever remains silent saves himself. Tirmidhi 2501. Your silence is not weakness. It's a fortress for your peace. Fourth, shift your audience. Instead of asking, who saw me? Ask, who did I do it for? Instead of waiting for hearts to notice, turn to the Lord who never stops noticing. When you fix your gaze on Allah, you stop chasing the temporary glances of people. Silence in our faith is not emptiness. It is an act of wisdom. Because sometimes the more you explain yourself to the world, the less you remember that Allah already understands you completely. So when Islam tells you to stay private, it's not trying to make you lonely. It's teaching you to find companionship in the one who never leaves. Remember the story of Prophet Ya'qub. When his beloved son Yusuf disappeared, he didn't rush to the people. He didn't post his pain to the crowd. He said quietly, I only complain of my suffering and my grief to Allah. Surah Yusuf 12 and 8:6. What a lesson that is. To feel such deep sorrow and yet choose privacy. To know that real healing comes not from being heard by everyone, but from being heard by the one. Every heartbreak, every loss, every confusion, they were never meant for public display. They were invitations for private conversations with Allah. When we expose every corner of our lives, we give our hearts away in pieces, and then we wonder why we feel scattered. But when we guard our privacy, we reclaim ourselves. We begin to recognize that some things are not meant to be shared, not because they are shameful, but because they are sacred. The world may tell you, if you don't show it, it doesn't exist. But Allah tells you, if you hide it for my sake, I will reward you for it. So choose His words over theirs. Choose peace over popularity. Choose sincerity over attention. There's a secret joy in doing something only Allah knows. Giving charity in silence. Making dua in the middle of the night. Helping someone without telling anyone. These small, hidden acts, they build a kingdom of light inside your soul. The Prophet said, 7 people will be shaded by Allah on the day when there is no shade but His. And one of them is the person who gives charity so secretly that his left hand does not know what his right hand has given. The Bukhari 14:23, such secrecy is love. Pure, quiet, eternal. When you practice it, you stop performing for the world and start living for the one who already knows your heart. Every soul today is starving for validation. But Allah is inviting you to something deeper: contentment. Contentment is born in privacy. It grows when no one is watching. It blossoms when you stop proving and start being. When your prayer mat becomes your stage, your sujud your spotlight, and your tears your applause, you will realize you were never unseen. You were simply seen by the right one. So how do we live this teaching in a world that constantly pushes us to share, to show, to prove? First, protect your moments of worship. Let there be some prayers, some tears, some du'as that no one ever hears about except Allah. These become your treasures on the day of judgment, your secret deeds that weigh heavy in your favor. Second, set boundaries with what you share. It's okay to express, to inspire, to connect. But remember that not every joy is meant for display. Keep your family matters, your plans, your pain, and your spiritual experiences guarded. Not everything sacred belongs to the crowd. Third, practice silence. Not the silence of distance, but the silence of wisdom. The kind that listens more than it speaks, that observes, reflects, and lets Allah handle what words cannot fix. The Prophet said, "Whoever remains silent saves himself." Turn 2501, your silence is not weakness, it's a fortress for your peace. Fourth, shift your audience. Instead of asking, "Who saw me?" ask, "Who did I do it for?" Instead of waiting for hearts to notice, turn to the Lord who never stops noticing. When you fix your gaze on Allah, you stop chasing the temporary glances of people. And finally, fifth, find joy in being unseen. Because when Allah hides you, He's protecting you from what could harm your soul. When He delays your recognition, He's preserving your sincerity. And when He makes your deeds private, He's drawing you closer to Himself. Don't rush to be known. Fame fades, faith remains. The ones closest to Allah were often the most unknown to the world. Think of the quiet worshippers, the mothers who pray in the night, the fathers who work silently for their families, the youth who resist temptation while no one is watching. The world may not write their names, but Allah has already written their rewards. There's a deep peace in knowing that you don't need to be understood by everyone. You just need to be right with Allah. So next time you feel unseen, remember the one who counts your tears, the one who hears your whispers, the one who watches you struggle and stay patient. He sees you completely. He knows every intention, every secret effort, every unseen act of love and faith, and He will never let any of it go unnoticed. Allah says in the Qur'an, "So whoever does an atom's weight of good will see it." Surah Al-Zalzala 9, 9 and 7, even the smallest hidden act, the dua no one heard, the patience no one praised, will one day stand before you as light. So stay private, not because you fear the world, but because you love Allah more than the world. Let your heart be a sanctuary between you and Him. Let your prayers be secret letters written in the language of sincerity. Let your deeds be known only to the one who rewards without measure. Because in the end, it's not the noise of the world that will save you. It's the quiet remembrance of Allah that will. Ya Allah, teach us to find beauty in silence. Grant us hearts that seek only your gaze. Protect us from the need to be seen, and make us among those who are hidden, yet deeply loved by you. Forgive us for the times we sought the eyes of people over your sight. Purify our intentions and make our hidden deeds better than our public ones. Ya Allah, when the world feels loud, bring peace to our hearts in your remembrance. When we feel unseen, remind us that you are Al-Basir, the all-seeing. And when we long to be known, remind us that to be known by you is enough. Peace is not in being visible. Peace is in being real with Allah. And sometimes the most sincere form of love is silence.